when you teach people how to learn, they become more resourceful.
The PTO model speaks to exactly what today's policing is about.
What PTO does is support what you've spent 26 weeks trying to teach people.
But it's also up to the recruit to go out to the public, talk to them, make working relationships with business owners, and do their own type of investigative work.
We hire the best, the brightest for a limited number of jobs in our business, invest a lot of money in them. You know, our hopes is that that person's going to be successful, that they're going to be resourceful, that they're not going to be a problem, and that they're going to carry out what the vision of the organization is. We believe that PTO does that. We truly believe that teaching a person to through self-analysis, to teach a person to gauge and take responsibility, which is a big issue, for their own learning, and to take some responsibility in bringing the organization forward, which we ask them and provide them an opportunity to do, makes for a very good employee. And I don't know a chief out there that doesn't want that. And PTO is one mechanism to do that.
The PTO program uses adult learning strategies and focuses on developing an officer's independent ability to learn and apply their knowledge. The purpose of using these techniques is to create a trainee who not only acts like a police officer, but one who thinks like the officer you want them to become.
When we decided to have the PTO be part of our training strategy, we really felt it was a natural fit. The whole premise behind policing is, as far as I'm concerned, from a philosophical perspective, is prevention. And the key to prevention is being able to have that relationship with the community so they can provide you the necessary information you need to prevent crime from occurring. So the PTO program, with its core values, speaks to the importance of working with the community, making them part of the solution. So it was just a natural fit for us. I believe critical thinkers are essential to today policing, and the PTO program certainly speaks to encouraging officers to be critical thinkers, to identify those problems. And the model, the PTO model, speaks to exactly what today's policing is about. Today's policing really requires a more educated officer, an officer that is able to be more analytical in decision making, an officer that has the ability to communicate better for the purpose of extracting the information that he or she needs to address an issue, an officer that needs to have the ability to empower citizens to have a desire to work with them.
People could see a difference in a police officer who'd been through the PTO program, who had problem-solving skills and who had the ability to think through issues, who looked at and thought about problems in a different way than officers who had completed our old field training program. The PTO program does have, and did have for us, a significant impact on how officers felt about their work, their understanding of the expectations of the police department in terms of not just making a call for service and dealing with it and going on, asking those harder questions about why we were here. So it does contribute to a greater sense of pride. PTO program emphasizes the critical thinking aspects of policing. It focuses on reinforcing the problem-solving skills that we used to teach in the police academy and applying them in a real-life kind of situation. So what it does for a police department, and it does for individual police officers, is it sets the stage for a career that's quite different. It sets the stage for a police officer not just relying totally on the criminal justice system, but relying on a range of options to deal with some of these persistent, almost intractable problems that police officers engage in. What it really is trying to do is to is to provide officers with a reinforced sense that the department is just not talking about we're a community policing agency. What PTO does is support what you've spent 26 weeks trying to teach people. What PTO program does is support and reinforce what the department is saying to people in the community. This is the way that we want to police, and this is our expectations of police officers. And so it fits nicely with a department that wants to engage in problem-solving partnerships with the community to create a safer environment for folks. For me, I'm not sure how you can effectively implement community policing and problem solving if you don't go to a PTO program which reinforces those fundamental values.
When you teach people how to learn, they become more resourceful. They increase their critical thinking, they increase their decision-making capabilities. The outcome of that in what we've seen is younger, newer officers engaging in the resolution of community issues more so than we ever did before. We believe with all officers, but also with the newest generation of officers, is that the opportunity to learn in a more dynamic environment is exactly what they want. They're bored easily. I mean, to sit them down in a car, newer officers that we're getting, and just simply go through volumes and volumes of information and check off whether or not they did it or not. They don't respond very well to that. So this training environment where they're actually doing something and they're being asked questions, and they can ask questions because they like to ask questions and they like to ask why, helps to answer that for them, and that's what they need to do.
Officers that are in training, some just graduating from our PTO program, and some actually in training, still in the PTO program, that have come up with initiatives that are department-wide for us. This young officer who had very little experience, and it was the end of his PTO program, when he presented his neighborhood portfolio, which is part of the requirements for the program, it had many of the things that we were looking for in the direction that we're going. So when we, in fact, created our B profile, we actually incorporated many of the things that we had, that he had already incorporated in his proposed portfolio. The other thing that occurred to us, we had this young lady who had recently graduated from the PTO program, was in the process of patrolling by herself, had noticed that she had a problem with animals, with dogs being mistreated on her beat. Instead of just citing the owners of that, she quickly came to the conclusion that if they're mistreating the animals, the dogs, they're probably doing some other illegal activity. So she got together with Animal Services, who has some administrative authority that we don't have as police officers. She got together with other partners in the community, and she did an interview of a lot of the residents in the community. And as a result of that, she was able to get several warrants that not only addressed the dog issue, but dealt with some drug issues and some other crimes that were occurring. So these are young officers that have very little experience, but as a result of the PTO program and as a result of encouraging, which encourages them to be critical thinkers, they not only saw a problem and not only saw a quick solution, but they saw a long-term solution as it relates to that.